This is another episode of the Backstage Sports Podcast. I'm Joe Connor.
I'm JT Harker.
And today we have a very super special guest, super talented musician, killer drummer. This guy, you guys, most of the musician world has known him, has seen him throughout the circuit. He's now living you're a DC guy.
Living in ATL.
But you live in ATL now.
Yeah, not outside of DC. I'm between DC and Baltimore.
Okay. Well, DMV guy, we lump them all in the same.
Yeah.
But
Except
Vernon,
Baltimore. Baltimore. That's not
okay. Yeah, let me not offend anybody. Vernon Strayhorn, thank you for joining the show, bro.
Man. Thank you for having me.
So, before we get into it, because it's a lot to get into, tell us a little bit about what's been going on with you right now. Obviously, being a musician and living in this in the COVID world and the pandemic world, things is really different for everybody, and everybody has like a new normal, right? So what's your new normal looking like right now?
Man, just relying. Well, before COVID hit, I was teaching at a music school. Mm-hmm. So now, instead of relying on gigging so much, I'm kind of leaning towards teaching and investing more of my time and energy into that. Trying to just build my clientele. Just delve into that a little bit more and perfect those skills. And, coming out with a better understanding of how to work with kids and how to work with students. Right. And just building another income stream. Just improving on that.
Right.
I miss playing. For Atlanta's wide open right now though.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, because the homie that we had on last week, I think he was in Texas at a strip club. But I saw he was on a story, and in one of his stories he was at a strip club. I'm like, where is he at? And then somebody was like, he's either in Texas or Atlanta somewhere.
Atlanta's wide open. So I've been starting to gig. To gig again. But everything, clubs are open, restaurants are open, bars are open.
Damn.
Everything's open.
Is it now the way it is in LA? We got like some stuff is open, but it's an outside thing only. Like you can only have your event outside or whatever. Is Atlanta like that, or like just indoors, everything, no restrictions?
Everything is no restriction.
Oh wow, yeah. So y'all gonna be back to working pretty soon. Can y'all? What about the venues? Like, can y'all if you wanted to hit a House of Blues in Atlanta and do a show, like is that?
Well, no, they're not doing that.
Okay, so like just the small local spots.
Yeah, club gigs. That type of stuff is wide open.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, man, it's been weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, there's been different phases of it, right? At first, everybody's recording and everybody's in their house, and then everybody's doing live streams from their house in different places.
Yeah, that got old real quick.
I know. Me and JT did some weird shit where we did a show on a rooftop to a hotel audience out of their balconies of their room.
So the hotel was like facing the roof that y'all was on?
Yes.
And y'all was performing for the people that would that's creative.
It was cool though.
It was creative.
Cool. Yeah.
It was kind of cool.
Was that your idea, JT, or how did they get about
No. To be honest, I thought it was an awful idea. in some ways it's a really bad idea because it's a lot like we didn't have to move. Usually you got to move to the other side, and then you also have to move. Well, we have to move down to the other.
Because they wanted you to play to both sides of the hotel or whatever, something like that.
But they do have the budget for it, so it's cool. But no, I thought it was a horrible idea. It's turned out to be a good idea because I don't think it's making a ton of money for them right now, but it's keeping them on the map. They're saying wall. And it's even got them in the newspaper and like people talking about it, like these rooftop sessions or whatever they call it. So it's pretty creative and cool.
Yeah, I've seen the rooftop. It's cool. It's a new idea. I haven't seen a lot of people doing it. I mean, I've been seeing people do creative stuff. The other one that was like a concert series. The other one, they were doing a drive-in concert series in Anaheim. What's that Hawaiian group just did a big one. I can't remember.
Common Kings?
Common Kings did one.
Yeah.
And it looked pretty dope. And it was like you would go to a drive-in movie theater, but they doing like a concert series over there. So I've been seeing more and more of those things and stuff like that. So
yeah, we actually got asked if we'd be down to do that, and I said yes, but never heard back from them. But there've been some cool ones like that.
Yeah,
around. It would be weird playing. It would be weird playing at Cars though.
It would. It's that one, and then another one that's pending in San Diego that asked me and Bless to do, and I'm like, I'm down. It's just I'd rather play the Cars than play to a TV screen or one camera. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, the rock band that I'm in, we've been doing these live stream concerts. We just did a ticketed one, which was really dope and really cool. We rocking out hard as hell in an empty warehouse to 3 cameras.
Matter of fact, I did a live stream gig like that too. It was in like a rehearsal space, like a staging.
Yeah.
Like and the stream was cool.
It's weird though. It's still weird.
But it's like you playing to an empty room.
Right.
You're not feeling nobody's energy. You just kind of it's just like you in a rehearsal.
Exactly. And so imagine, and it's even weirder depending on what music you play. So imagine you playing rock music and you trying to bang your head to your girlfriends and fiancés on the front row, and your wife's on the front row, and a couple soundmen. Like it's weird, But hopefully we get out of this. America did a good thing this weekend. So hopefully
I'm telling you, I think Biden's going to shut us down.
I think he is too. That's what my fiance was saying.
So we can be straight by summertime.
Yeah, and I got a wedding plan for July. I'm like, just let's be good by the time we get
I'm telling
there.
you, as soon as he takes that oath, he's shutting the city down.
I think he gonna have to, because you got to look at some of these other places. Like, one of our friends is shooting a movie in Australia right now. She's like, y'all. Australia is all the way open with no cases.
It's a lot of places like that.
I know.
Everybody's laughing at America.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So you got places like that. Was just one of the places that I remember because she was there. But I'm like, yo, we're behind in this. We still in it with cases going up. But I think that's what's gonna happen too. I think that Joe might get in there and just do like a hardcore 7-day
what we should have done back in the spring.
That part.
Yep.
But hopefully we can get out of this soon.
So you guys think we need a full shutdown, like a real shutdown?
I think we need a real one so that we can get back to life. Otherwise, it's like when you get a cold and you stop taking your medicine before the cold is done. So you're like passing little, germs and the cold just keeps hopping people. You never get rid of the cold because you never just say, I'm gonna stay in the house, I'm gonna take these pills until I'm done. And then I'm going to go back to my regular life. And I think that's what we keep doing to each other.
Now, though, I don't know if you guys heard this. I only know this because I'm watching the stock market every day. They just announced, and it made a big deal with these stocks going up, that they have a vaccine that's 90% effective.
I did hear about that.
So with that,
I did hear about that.
We might not have to do any shutdown, because if they've got a vaccine
I don't know about vaccines.
I'm nervous about that too. I'm not taking it.
I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. But about half the population or more will.
Yeah.
Man, the older I get, the more I'm like a little fishy when it comes to Western medicine.
Me too.
The older I get.
Me too.
It's like, oh no, you ain't about to, especially as new as COVID is, like, this needs to be out 10 years before I'm trusting the vaccine with COVID.
That last vaccine they did for, I'm not going to remember what it was, but it was the last time we had a scare that obviously didn't turn into as big as COVID. They approved a vaccine, and it didn't end up actually getting fully approved for 5 years, which is usually about how long that it actually takes to really truly approve it. They're going to speed it up right now for political reasons and because we're in an extreme situation, but no one should be putting that shit in their body. Nobody should be putting that shit in.
I'm like, I don't want to be no guinea pig. I'm cool. Somebody else try it out. Y'all go ahead and try it out. Let us know how it is.
Let me know.
And then, we'll rock with you later. But they said they were planning to have a vaccine by the end of the year. So long as we get to the spring and the summer. How about that? Long we get to July, I'm good. But I'm trying to be good by New Year. Like, can we have what's New Year's Eve gonna be like? Everybody just gonna be staring at a Zoom call, like, hey.
In Atlanta, it's gonna be business as usual.
I know. I know. That's the thing. Atlanta and Texas, it's gonna be business as usual down there.
Yup.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't. Okay, so let's get into it. Yesterday, it was a great week of football. It capped off by last night's game. Cam had a comeback situation versus the Jets on Monday Night Football. To me, watching that comeback made me. I tweeted this out if y'all didn't see it. I was basically like, Bill Belichick just showed us how he orchestrated all of those Brady comebacks, right? Because when watching it, I was thinking like, this is classic Brady and Bill. You know what I'm saying? Like they get down, they come back with a bunch of, short plays and picking people apart in spots, and then they went on a 50-yard field goal. It just looked like I was watching the old Patriots, except you take out Brady and you put in Cam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what was y'all take on the Brady on the Cam comeback and the the vibe is between Brady versus Cam and that type of
my
comeback?
take was that it's the first time all season it looked like you could just take out Tom and put in Cam because they looked like shit. They were on a 4-game losing streak, and they had to come back against the Jets, who at one point in Tom Brady's career, because he's been playing for 100 years, the Jets were actually pretty good.
Yeah, right now, they play pretty good.
They're the worst team in the league, and you had to come back and to get the win.
That was my thing.
Yeah. But the thing is, the situations are similar when Brady was there because Cam's not throwing to anybody, right? He's there. It's basically just Cam in the system, right?
Yeah.
And even worse than when, because at least Brady had Gronk and a guy here and there.
And they out of their defense this year too.
Exactly.
Everybody called in sick.
People called in sick. People said, I'm not coming in because of COVID. People are out because of injuries. So it looks similar to me. You know what I'm saying? And even some of the losses that Cam had prior to this, it was like little things that came up short. Like they haven't been getting blown out. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. It was wasn't the Seahawks. It was Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
He stopped him.
Yeah.
When he tried to cross the goal line. And the who else did they lose to? It came down to Cam too.
Yeah, it was. They had a couple. That I'll try.
Was
to
it the
up.
Bills?
It was.
I think
it was.
They lost to the Broncos and almost came back to win that one.
Yeah.
And they lost to the Bills.
The Bills and the Seahawks ones are the ones they really could have won.
Yeah.
It's crazy seeing them get I think my Niners smoked them. It's crazy seeing them get beat by teams in their own division. That's the crazy thing to me.
I know, because it was such a bad division, and they ran through it forever.
And they just ran through it forever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
For me though, it's like, and Joe, you and I had so many conversations about this. It's like is it Belichick or Brady conversation.
Yeah.
And I really, I feel like it's both, obviously, because they're both great.
Yeah.
But I tend to lean a little more towards, yes, Belichick I do think is the greatest coach of all time. But even the greatest coach of all time, if you take away who, in my opinion, and I'm a Joe Montana guy because I grew up with Joe Montana, I still, even not being a Patriot fan, think that Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. And when you take the greatest quarterback of all time out of the system, part of it is that Cam is new to the system. Part of it is that Cam, and they've changed the system for him. And then they dealt with COVID. They dealt with injuries. But I just think you're going to see a difference. Whereas if you put Cam on that Bucs team, I think they'd be having success.
Yeah.
But I still don't think as much. I just think I think he's the greatest.
I would argue. So you lean in this kind of Bill versus Brady thing. You lean kind of towards Brady. I lean kind of towards Bill. And I think that in this situation, I think that if you swap them, it would be the same outcome, right? I think if you swap them right now, the Patriots would still be 3-5, and the Bucs would still be 6-2.
Because just like last year, Brady didn't have anybody to throw to.
Right, and it's worse now. The roster is worse now. You know what I mean?
Worse, yep.
Okay.
But when it comes to Brady versus Belichick, I lean a little bit towards Brady because at the end of the day, Brady has to throw the ball. He's the one that has to make the play.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking
Belichick
about that earlier.
Orchestrates it, but at the end of the day, he can't throw the ball for him.
Right.
That's true. That's the thing is that in football, in my opinion, and I think most people are along the lines of this, is that in football, a coach is very, very, very important.
It's the most. I think it's in any sport. I think the coaching position is the most important in football.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is because followed second very closely by the quarterback. Right, those are the two most important. If you don't have a quarterback, especially in this,
you don't
game,
have anything.
You ain't gonna do much. But at the end of the day, that's exactly what I was gonna say. When it comes to especially those like game-winning drives and crunch time, you got to have the ability to see the progression, and then you got to throw the ball. And there's a lot of really good quarterbacks, even bad quarterbacks who might see a certain amount of progressions, but they just aren't able to get the ball there. But
I think for me, it's the system. Like I believe in the system if I had to give a percentage, it would be the system is 51% and then Brady is 50%. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's close, but to me, watching how that team ran when Brady was out, we didn't get to see a lot of it, but we saw enough to see when Brady was out. The system looked like the system when Jimmy was in there. The system looked like the system when Jacoby Brissett was in there. The system looked like the system. I mean, he was just, and it was just like, okay. They proved it to me.
They were pulling off wins, but it wasn't quite the same. And the tricky thing is,
but that's what I mean. Like, he can win.
He can win. But once guys start, and that's what I think just happened with Cam, because we know he has the ability. Yeah. But all of a sudden, teams have seen you for 3-4 weeks. Now they're figuring out what you're doing with that system, and that's what we see. Whereas with Brady, the system was always evolving. Even with bad talent, they were winning Super Bowls.
Yeah,
with basically the same. They won 1 or 2 with basically the same talent they have right now. Maybe
but not as bad. They kind of bad now.
Yeah, I don't think they figured out the system. I just think they don't have anybody, and they have a quarterback who's only been in the system for 6 games, like, you know, or 8 games or whatever.
You know, and that's for sure a part of it. But that last Super Bowl, we were saying the same thing. Like, how are they winning with no talent? Like, how are they?
That to me is the system. You know what I'm saying? That to me proves it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like, you know, as great as Brady is, it's not like he was, you know, Lamar Jackson last year, where he was literally single-handedly winning the Ravens games by himself. You know what I mean?
But it's like you said, it's the system and coaching and just putting your players in the best position to be successful, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Brady, Brady, that Saints versus the Bucs game did not turn out how we wanted it to turn out.
Man,
Brady got waxed.
I wanted a nail biter,
and it was a nail biter in the wrong direction. Like, it was not good.
You want to hear? I'll tell you about a nail biter involving that game.
What?
Lou House of Pine, who was riding the last place spot, was playing me this week.
Yeah. And
I was nervous because I had some guys that did not perform the way they were supposed to.
Yeah, you got Zeke on your team, man.
Well, I benched him. I sat Zeke. I sat Zeke. But I played Hasty for my Niners, who scored 3 points. But anyway, so I'm feeling good, though, because Michael Thomas is just coming back. I'm like, they're probably not going to feed him a ton.
Yeah.
And then he had Leonard Fournette. So we're going into the fourth quarter, right? And even the third quarter, they're down by 30. So I'm like, the Saints aren't going to be feeding Thomas. They're up by 30.
Right.
And the Bucs are down by 30. So they're not going to be feeding Fournette.
Right.
So I feel pretty good. Right, I feel pretty good. Thomas gets to 10 points. I'm like, all right, I'm good. And then I'm up by like 4 points. I don't know what happened because I stopped watching the game. Fournette must have caught a pass, had a big run. He beat me by 1.23 points.
Wow, for his first win.
1.23 points.
So this is the fantasy league. If you guys don't know, which next year we're gonna open it up for listeners to hop in. But yeah, Lou Pine was struggling. He was 0-9. So he was 0-8 because that was late. This was week 9. So he was 0-8. So but he didn't have I kept telling him, like, you don't have a bad team. Like, I was looking at his roster, like, he had Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas came back this week and balled out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he had guys that just was, you know, it's been a weird year, you know, with injuries and COVID.
A lot of it's luck, because like 4 of my weeks, I would have beat every team in the league except 1 or 2 teams. And I'm like,
I'm in 5th place, and I have the highest point total in the league.
It's just getting that luck of the
I'm
draw.
just getting bad luck, like, just terrible.
Meanwhile, Hugh Jaboner is in 1st or 2nd place.
And I'm gonna get that W. I got Christian McCaffrey back. I'm gonna get that W this week against him.
Don't make me miss it. I sat out fantasy this year.
Oh, you gotta be in it. You gotta hop in the podcast league next year. We gotta get you in it.
I fucking hate fantasy football, and I'm never playing again until next season.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. So what happened? Brady got waxed. Why did Brady
waxed?
What, I don't understand.
I'm thinking it's football is an any given Sunday game, man.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see. We're not gonna see that if they meet again in the playoffs. We're not gonna see that.
I hope not. I mean, you know, I wanted the Saints to win because the Saints were my pick to win the division, right? So I was obviously rooting for the Saints. I didn't think it was going to be a 40-piece, you know, put up on the Bucs. But
no, I think the Bucs were actually favored in Vegas.
They were. I think they were favored.
That was crazy.
I think they were favored.
It seems like they gave Brady a lot of trouble, obviously. But I saw the score and I was like, oh wow, it was like at 21-0, and I was like, oh, this is bad.
And that was in the first half.
Yeah, it was first half. And they had them figured out that game. If they meet again, which they're both in playoff contention, obviously, and with the way the NFC is looking now, they might both be in the top 4 for Super Bowl favorites, because the Niners, the Rams, I wouldn't put the Cardinals quite up there. The Seahawks for sure, yes, although they just got beat too. There's not a lot of teams that look – the Packers don't look like they're legit anymore.
I mean, they're going to be – they're going to be – it is open. They're going to be in it.
It's open. And, man, the Steelers and the Chiefs –
a lot of teams came back to the pack, including the Seahawks, who everybody kind of thought – the Seahawks, to me, aren't going to win anything with that defense. Like, they're fool's gold to me.
But people were jumping on the bandwagon because it has been getting much better.
I don't believe in them. Like, I just don't think that – I don't think that defense is going to do it. And the Saints were making me nervous, too, because – I just don't, teams that you're winning every game 37-35 to me is you're not a Super Bowl team.
That's the thing though. In the NFC, I don't buy anybody for those same reasons. Like who comes out of the pack? The Bucs have an old quarterback who's still playing at a high enough level. The defense has been good, but what the hell happened on Sunday night?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I was, I picked the Bucs to win the division, make the playoffs. I didn't think they were a Super Bowl contender, but then I was like, well, yeah, they are, partly because they're good, and two, because they're the only team out of the top 4 in the NFC that plays any defense.
Yeah.
But now it's like, man, who knows? The NFC
what I didn't know, they said they ran the ball 4 times on Sunday.
That's the other thing. Like, I don't get it. When you have Rojo, who was playing, because I had
he's been balling.
Going back to fantasy, I had him until Leonard Fournette came back and he sunk his value. So now, they don't run the ball. Even having Rojo and Leonard Fournette there, they're not running the ball, which doesn't make sense to me.
5 times.
I don't get it.
The whole game.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
But they were. I think it's because they got down so fast.
Well, that part too.
They abandoned the run game because when you're down, if you're down 14, when you get down that fast, you can't really establish.
You're down 21-zip in the second quarter. But the thing is, you still, because Tom Brady is your quarterback, if you can't just say abandon the run, because all they're going to do is pin their ears back and just blitz you the whole game. Yeah. They know Brady is going to throw and he can't go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But this is the other thing that I said that we talked about a couple weeks ago with Brady not being able to hit that long ball like Jameis could. I said that's the thing that I see that's going to hurt them, because now you have, and going back to fantasy again, when you have Mike Evans was the deep threat for them. Mike Evans was arguably one of the top 2-3 wide receivers in the league last year. He's nowhere near that this year. And if you have him in fantasy, you know that. And he's not, it's because they're not getting the long play. So even when they were getting yardage, it was short yardage, it was dink and dunk stuff. And I feel like that's going to come back to hurt them, especially even if it's just chemistry wise, because I know if you're Mike Evans, you got to be pissed that you was airing people out all last season, and now you're not getting any looks.
Who's the guy who covers him on the Saints?
Lattimore. Lattimore always be.
He had him clamped. He had him clamped.
He was hitting the long ball earlier in the year though, but the problem with him is because he can't get stuff done with his legs. That line's had problems all year.
Yeah,
he's not going to give you extra time. So if you're going to get to him, that's how you're going to beat him. And that's how they beat him. And that's always been the thing with Brady, even when he was younger, because he still painfully ran when he was a younger guy.
Yeah.
If you're getting to him, he can't really beat you because now he can't get around. He can't really move out of the pocket too well.
Yeah.
And they're not going to win like that. They're not going to win like that.
Yeah, I just feel like now he has all the weapons. You got Antonio Brown back, you got Gronk, you got Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin back. But Chris can stretch the field, so can Mike can stretch the field, Antonio can stretch the field, and you should be bombing these teams away, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's gonna come back to hurt them. But I mean, because of the talent, you can't write them off. But they're also not using it. You have one of the most talented backfields in the NFL that you're not even utilizing. So it's some of Bruce Arians too. And then Bruce Arians came out and said Mike Evans was open, he just wasn't getting the looks. You know?
Yeah, that's like the second time he threw Brady under
That's
the bus.
second time he threw some shade at Brady, and it's like, all right, y'all, it's gonna get real dicey here if they keep, if it keep happening, because Brady is not used to that. So that's gonna be interesting. The other cool situation was Tua versus Kyler, which we actually talked about Tua versus Kyler just as a head-to-head thing a couple weeks ago. But then they played each other, and Tua got the win. Tua hasn't been playing great, like just in a vacuum, but they're winning. So
he played well this last game.
Yeah, I mean it was cool.
Directly after
he looks promising.
Directly after I dropped him from my fantasy team.
Well, I think that was a smart idea to drop him, because I just don't see him like putting up meaningful points. Depending on who you had, but I don't see him putting up meaningful points.
Did you read why? Because we speculated on this last week or the week before. Did you read why or hear why they ended up deciding to start him?
No. What did they say?
Because they want to know if they need to go back in the draft for another quarterback. Especially because that kid from Clemson's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Trevor.
Yeah. I call him Sunshine.
Why do you call him Sunshine?
Because like the long hair guy from Remember the Titans.
Oh yeah.
Sunshine.
Yeah. But here's the thing about Trevor too, and I was thinking about this because we're gonna talk about the Cowboys. If you're the Cowboys, do you also join the tanking for Trevor train? Like, do you just say, you know what?
Oh, so you moving past that?
Listen, Joseph.
They don't want to pay him, right?
They don't have a choice. They're tanking whether they like it or not. They're trying not to, and it's not working.
But here's the thing. I'm saying, like, they're bringing, the guy Gilbert, I think, started on Sunday, right? So the thing is, Andy, it's not like Andy.
Gil.
It's not like Andy Dalton was injured, so he's coming back, right? So do you bring him back and start him and try to, in the NFC East, they lost, but they're still only one game back, right? So you still can technically still make the playoffs.
You tank. You let your coaching staff know, hey, your guys aren't going anywhere, but we're all gonna sit the rest of this season out.
So you would sit Andy Dalton, and then put Gilbert in or put one of those other guys in and just legit tank for Trevor.
I mean,
I would.
I
don't wish the NFC East on anybody, man.
I don't wish it.
I don't
Listen, and my Eagles are safely tucked in first place. And
they'll win it. They'll win the East, but I
feel good about it.
It's so bad how bad everybody is.
I know.
Hey man, the Seahawks went under 500 that one season, and then beat somebody in the first round in the wild card game. Or no, I don't even think it was a wild card game because they got in winning the division. That's when the NFC West was bad.
Yeah,
and then they won a playoff game. So who knows?
Who knows? That's why I just want to get in, and I know this year winning the division is the only way we're gonna get in.
Yeah. So once you in, it's one game at a time.
Yeah, and so. The only problem is I'm kind of done with Carson Wentz, and I feel like he got about one more game.
That's the feel from Philly right now. Philly's done with him.
Man, I think people are just tired of seeing him make piss poor decisions every week and cost us games that we could have won and handily won. Because right now the Eagles are 3-4, but we could easily be 5-4. We could easily be, you know what I mean, right now.
Carson Wentz doesn't look like a starting quarterback.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's just making bad decisions. And even with all the injuries and things that we had, because we are a super banged up team, and we're getting some guys back. We might get Alshon back. We're going to get Jalen Reagor back, but Deshaun Jackson went out. So even with all the injuries, we've been in games where he just made terrible decisions, and we lost games because of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and meanwhile, there's guys like – the Rams have Jared Goff. He's not very good. He gets exposed every other week.
Yeah.
The Niners are a mess. They're going to go – it sounds like they're going away from Garoppolo. He's not their guy.
Yeah. Is Garoppolo done for the year?
He's done for at least a
like
good stretch.
He was placed on IR, isn't he?
He's on IR.
Yeah.
George Kittle's done for the year. Garoppolo is pretty much done, but it sounds like even if he's healthy, he's done. They want to try out Nick Mullins and then see what else they're going to do.
Yeah.
My point is, at least they're in playoff contention. You know what I mean? You've got all sorts of guys who backup quarterback. third string quarterback, but some because of the coaching, they're able to kind of win games, and Wentz just isn't getting it. He's not. You got to at some point be able to win a football game or two for your team.
Yes.
Because it's not always going to be perfect. Injuries are going to happen. You need him to find a way for a couple, just a couple, and he's just not doing it.
And the problem is, the biggest issue, I think, my biggest issue with Wentz is that you got to just stop shooting yourself in the foot for me. Like, that's all. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we lose because we're undermanned or we aren't as talented as the other team, all right, I'm gonna be mad, but I can take it. But the majority of our losses have come from us just shooting ourselves in the foot, mainly because of Carson. Like, just doing dumb shit.
He's doing the same thing with Garoppolo, where it's like, okay, now you're actually losing us games. Now you're actually making mental errors.
Yes.
And that's what we can't have, because you're supposed to, at the very least, be a game manager.
Just please.
Yeah. Be able to will your team to the win.
Exactly. Just don't turn the ball over and throw stupid interceptions, hold the ball too long. Like, it's just been ridiculous with him. And we've been in games, and then every week you go in, you're nervous. Like, who gonna show up today? Like, we play the Giants this weekend. It should be a win. We should just be able to check that off, but it's not. So I don't be nervous. It's not. Who knows if we're gonna win that game or not? Like, it's not at all. So we'll see. The NFC East is still a toss-up. The NFC as a whole is still a toss-up. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna go down to the wire, I guess. Okay, so good news with the NBA. The NBA has finally come to an agreement with the players on when they are going to start. They approved the start date for December 22nd. But then they also approved the draft and free agency. So everything is going to happen at warp speed. So here's the dates. It's November 18th confirmed for the NBA draft. 2 days later, November 20th is when free agency is supposed to start at 6 p.m. Start, and I say start in air quotes as if people haven't been making free agent deals and backdoor deals and all of this stuff for free agency since forever. So most of that stuff is probably already done. But the free agency is supposed to start officially 6 p.m. on November 20th. November 22nd, free agent signings can begin at 12:01 p.m. December 1st, training camp is supposed to open. December 22nd is opening night. And then we expect the big players to be playing and be active by December 25th when they do the Christmas Day games. How do y'all feel about this, like, super fast start, this speed dial way to start the season? Like, what do y'all think about it? And do you think that it's that these teams that didn't make the bubble have an advantage? That's the real question, right? Because what they're saying is that the teams that made the bubble have had almost 6 months off. Teams that didn't make the bubble, and then teams that made the bubble is going to be roughly around 2 months, and maybe and obviously less for the final teams. How do y'all think it's going to affect the play moving forward and everything like that?
I mean, I think they have a mental advantage because they won't be as exhausted as guys that had to go to the bubble and deal with a lot of that nonsense, especially the teams that made it to the finals and deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, physically they're not going to have an advantage because they obviously suck because they weren't in the bubble.
This was my point.
Bubble, you were trash.
This was my point. Like, people were saying that, it wasn't fair. And I'm like, yo, do y'all realize that, like, the teams that didn't make the bubble, they invited everybody to the bubble, even teams that was on the fringe, that you had 6 games back is a lot, bro. That's what I'm saying.
The Wizards made it to the bubble.
So if you didn't make the bubble, it's because you were trash. And so I don't see them having an advantage because most of the teams that didn't, like, let's give the list of teams that didn't make the bubble: the Bulls, the Hawks, the Warriors, the Knicks, the Timberwolves, the Hornets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Detroit Pistons. Outside of the Warriors, nobody else matters. Everybody can really stay home for the 2021 season to me. Like,
I do think the Cavs and the Hawks are going to be surprisingly good. But regardless, like, when it comes to an advantage, I was going to say the Warriors too, because I thought of it right before you said that. The Warriors are a championship level team, probably, in my opinion, a top 4 team in the West right out the gate. They're obviously going to either draft someone really good or they're going to move the pick for somebody pretty good, hopefully, or, You know who I'm hoping for, Joe. But
yeah,
Giannis. But
no, it's not happening.
Don't say that. How dare you?
It's not happening.
But to me, mentally, physically, they have an advantage because they've literally been rested. I mean, Klay Thompson's been off since last year's finals.
Yeah, literally.
I'm scared to see the Warriors this year.
And you know what? I'm not. Like
they don't really have a bench. They don't really have a bench, but that's
you're scared. You're scared. You're scared the other way. Yeah. But you know what though? Pascal, who was like the surprise rookie last year, who I watched recently, I'm like, he's really good. So even if with their team now, he'd be coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I think. Or Wiggins is coming off the bench. So to me, I feel better because at least we have some quality bench guys. Because I don't think Wiggins is a starter. I think he's a quality 6th, 7th man. But they have some
But he's going to start,
up.
isn't he? Isn't Wiggins going to start?
I think he would start, projected he would start, which is
right
fine.
now to start the season.
As their 5th starter, like, it's not a big deal. And then Pascal come off the bench. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But because I think Draymond and Pascal kind of are the similar player.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bench, they got to shore that up. And I'm hoping they move the pick and some other picks and maybe some other pieces and go get a quality either all-star level or at least quality starters and bench guys, because they're two bench guys away from being a real.
It's really gonna depend. Their front office really has work to do for me to be like Vernon said, like nervous, right? Like they don't scare me because I don't see them taking any of the top teams. And like, so you talk about the top, let's look at the top 4 from last year: the Lakers, the Clippers, Denver, and Houston, right? I don't see them like beating any of those teams. And then even if you
don't see them being Denver or Houston?
No.
Oh,
I think no,
not right now.
People forget so fast.
Bro,
people being Joe Connor, they forget so fast.
I think you haven't seen him in a long time.
No,
he's also a Warriors hater.
I'm not. There's nothing to hate.
Hater.
The thing is,
you hate him.
Let's look at the Warriors roster right now, right? That's why I say it. I think they have to, I think they have work to do. Like, it's not that I don't think they could get there, but I just feel like right now they're not a threat, right? You got Stephen, Draymond, and Klay, obviously. And then you're starting Andrew Wiggins and Kevon Looney.
How do you say Steph, Draymond, and Klay so casually? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Okay,
because Draymond is not what he used to be. I think people.
But now he's coming off.
He's not
barely playing. But wait. When you
so
say
it's really just Steph and Klay.
But the 2 of the greatest shooting guards of all time.
Look who Dre was playing with this year. Of course, he's not going to look the same.
But
that's
what I'm saying. They're 3 all-stars. Draymond may not be an all-star ever again, but he's a very good glue guy at the very least. And all the talk is if he can get his jump shot back, he'll be what he was before. Fine. Steph, we know what Steph and Klay bring to the table. At least I do. I don't feel like you do. But then Andrew, you throw so much shade at poor Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins is weak, bro.
Hold on a second. How dare you?
Just
because Andrew Wiggins didn't decide that he was going to be picked number 1 or 2 overall, they picked him number 1 or 2 overall. So the expectations are so high that he's got to go and be a LeBron or be a Kevin Durant.
I never thought he was going to be up there.
I didn't either, but it's perfectly okay for me that Andrew Wiggins is just a quality starter. But you talk about him like he shouldn't even be in the league.
No,
it's just offensive.
That's not true. That's true.
It is true.
That's true.
Every time you mention Andrew Wiggins, it's like we're talking about a junior varsity player that somehow got a job.
Because he's such a disappointment, like as a human being. No, not as a human being, but like not like as a human being, but like he's such a huge underachiever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, all he's done is underachieve. Like, his whole career, like he's just underachieved. And so I think that I mean, we talk about the guys who we feel like
human being.
We talk about the guys who we feel like have the talent but don't have the motor. We talked about it last week and sparingly throughout the a couple of episodes, and he's like a number one on that list for me of guys who like have the talent but don't have the motor. So like sometimes he plays these spurts where you're like, oh, I can see why somebody picked him number one, or I can see why, he would start. And then sometimes you're like, this guy should be on the bench. He should be coming off the bench. Like, you know what I mean? And so for me, he's not worth the trouble for me. You know what I mean? And so when I look at their roster, I go, okay, they have work to do because their roster as a whole, it's no disrespect to Clay and Steph, but Clay and Steph can't beat a team in a 7-game series by themselves, right? They need their roster. They don't have the roster that they had when they were running through the league. Those guys aren't there anymore, right?
Oh,
so we're talking about that roster, and it's the roster that had all of these other like the deepest bench ever, right? That's not there anymore, right? And then I look at the standings and I go,
they were
Utah, I like Utah over them. I like Dallas over them. I like Portland over them. I like Denver over them.
How dare you, Dallas? How dare you, Joe?
Bro,
Connor?
Dallas is legit.
They're good, but they're not. But this is the thing. And to what you just said, I agree with you. Because if the Warriors had the team they used to have, they'd beat your mediocre-ass Lakers and the shitty wannabe Clippers.
First of all,
no problem.
Only address the Lakers as NBA champion Lakers.
The NBA mediocre-ass champion Lakers.
The NBA champion Lakers.
The NBA champion mediocre.
The reigning
Lakers.
NBA champion Lakers. Okay.
Oh man, he's a Bron hater.
Did that Warriors squad?
Yes.
No, I'm not a Bron hater. I'm not a Bron hater.
The reigning NBA champion Lakers.
No. That's LeBron's incredible. That's not an amazing team though. It's a good enough team to get it done.
It's not. It's not. We just got the GOAT.
You got the second greatest player of all time.
We got the GOAT, and nobody else has the GOAT. And we have the
second greatest player of all time.
They just need to get rid of Danny Green.
Oh yeah, I'm done with Danny Green. He out of here.
I'm telling you, they need to get Bradley Beal for my Wizards. And for Danny Green or Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah. So you took us in this. Let's talk about free agency is coming up.
Before you address this, can I say something real quick? Can I bring up, and I have to back him up. He's not my guy, but he does play for my team, right?
Who?
Andrew Wiggins, poor little Andrew Wiggins, who you just trash on a regular basis.
I don't trash.
Has career stats, not just last season, career stats of 19.7 points. 4.5 rebounds and 2.3 assists, shooting 44% from the field.
In garbage time. It's just
you stop it right now.
Empty calories, man. Most of his numbers he's played in blowouts.
Most people would consider that a really above solid starter. You're just trashing 19 points a game like it's nothing.
Give me Danny Green. I can't. I do not want that guy. Give me Danny Green. Give me Danny Green.
I'm disgusted.
But free agency is coming up, and we've been hearing these rumors leak out about who people are going for. So starting with the Lakers, we've heard that it's just come out recently that the Lakers are going after Serge Ibaka and free agency. Or in a trade. I don't think he's a free agent.
Championship level starter.
I don't get it, and I don't like it. I don't know why.
No, they need a shooter. They need a shooter.
Like Bradley. When I heard Bradley Beal, I'm like, yes, please. Let's do that.
Danny Green and Kyle Kuzma were stinking it up.
Yes.
Maybe they're fucking annoyed with Dwight Howard. They just want to ship him out because he's.
No, I'm down. No, they love Dwight. They love Dwight.
They need
Dwight. They need Dwight coming off the bench.
If you got Ibaka, you kind of don't need him. And he can shoot. Ibaka can shoot.
You right.
Okay.
He's been. I don't watch a lot of Ibaka.
You're right.
To the point that when I watched him in the last couple of years, I'm like, oh, when did he get a jump shot? He's actually pretty good.
You're right.
He's just going to take up more money than Dwight.
Yeah, that too, because Dwight is only making like $1 million or something like that. Like maybe 3 or 4. But
that's a weird. I'm surprised, but the only thing I could think of is that he could stretch the floor better than Dwight because Dwight doesn't shoot.
True, he could. He's definitely more talented than Dwight. But I think Dwight's coming off the bench and his value for what he's paid, I think is like great. I mean, it's just like
it is.
You got him for nothing, and he was a huge part in your playoff run. You know what I mean? And even when he wasn't playing, it was his maturity was valuable because he sat out an entire series because the matchup just wasn't in our favor, and he didn't pout, he didn't fuck up the locker room. It was just, that's valuable too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sold. Like I'm not. when I heard Bradley Beal, that's what I was like, that's the perfect one.
That's the perfect one.
Because it's like LeBron's getting old. When he going up against Clippers and that just the Wild West, and he needs them rest to get on the floor, Bradley can run the floor with AD.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's perfect.
All three of them on the floor at the same time.
It's
Bradley
perfect.
on the floor running by himself with Rondo. Like,
and you can't keep LeBron. LeBron is as much as an Iron Man as he is. You can't keep putting more minutes on LeBron. Like he's only getting older. Like the guy
just need perimeter shooting, consistent perimeter shooting.
Exactly, and that's where Rondo came in so key in this playoff run, because, like I said, the Lakers always look worse throughout the season when LeBron goes to the bench and everybody's running around like chickens without their head cut off. And then Rondo came in and really like actually put some organization to the offense when LeBron wasn't on the floor. So now if you have Rondo, and they say the Clippers are going after Rondo, but I don't see him doing that. But
you don't?
I don't see Rondo leaving.
You don't think he wants to play for Doc again? Oh, Doc's gone.
No,
my bad.
Doc is gone. Doc is gone, but I think I don't think Rondo. I don't think unless they just offer him a fat check, which would be dumb of them. Like it wouldn't be smart because he's a bench player. Like, you know what I mean? Like and on a championship team, Rondo is exactly who he was in the playoffs. If the Clippers want to go and make Rondo a starter and pay him big bucks, have at it. And that is going to say more about your team. If Rondo is your starter, who's 40 and is really only clutch in playing role minute moments, you're screwed. So if they want to do that, go ahead. But I don't see them doing that in a capacity where he had it, because then why would he leave? So he would only leave.
What do you think the Clippers got to do to like go over the top? Because I think the Lakers got to get better. Like I was happy when the Lakers didn't have to play the Clippers.
I thought we was gonna beat the Clippers.
I didn't. I did. I mean, I'm a LeBron fan to the death of me, but I did not think they were gonna beat the Clippers.
I did because
it would have been more interesting matchup wise for sure.
Maybe, but I always thought that we looked at the Clippers pieces and overrated them because the game isn't played on paper. And the proof was in the pudding. Like that they showed us that the game isn't played on paper. Everybody had them picked to win the chip. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the Lakers got to get better, but because everybody's getting better, right? Because that's what I was saying about the Warriors, where like the Nuggets are going to get better. Utah is going to get better. Dallas, they said the other thing is Dallas is targeting Victor Oladipo, Drew Holiday, and Spencer Dinwiddie. I didn't say Victor or Drew or Spencer. They're trying to get all three of them, right?
Well, that's what Mark Cuban does. Yeah, I agree though. They need to get better because the Clippers aren't going to get worse. That's one thing. So there's only one way to go. They were really good and then mediocre in the playoffs. They were one game away from making it to the Western Conference Finals, but they definitely were not playing like they.
This was their year for the Clippers to do it though. I think they're done.
I do too. I don't think they're it.
Yeah, they got moves to make.
The Nugget, and we already talked about this a million times, Joe, but the Nuggets are a big problem because they did that without Bol even showing anything that he can do, and when Michael Porter Jr. just having flashes, being a 20-year-old,
and now he's healthy. So now he's coming back healthy. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was saying. It wasn't anything against the Warriors. It was just that the West is getting better. The top tier in the West is getting better. And they are going to have to make moves just like that's how I feel about the Clippers. The Clippers are going to have to make bigger moves than Rondo is not the key to the Clippers, championship issues. It's not Raja, a 40-year-old role player point guard. It's not. And I don't know why everybody was making such a huge deal of it. Even Skip Bayless is like, I can't wait till we get Rondo. I'm like, what the hell is Rondo going to do for you?
Do you think the Warriors minus a big superstar move are even in the playoffs?
Yes, I think they have. I just want to see. I think the Warriors, as currently constructed, is not a threat. I said I think they need to. I need to see what moves they make.
No, I know.
I say today, I don't think they're. I don't see what.
Right now, they add a couple veterans. Like nothing big changes. I guess that means they also just go into the draft and draft the young kid, which may or may not make that big of an impact. What do you think? Seventh seed, eighth seed?
No, I see. I would put them at. I would have them replacing the Thunder, right? So the Thunder are kind of like doing some weird tanking type thing. I'm not sure what's going on with them. They're seemingly going to trade Chris Paul or something like that. We've been hearing. So if they do that thing, they go full throttle tank mode. That I can see the Warriors being in that fifth seed where the Thunder were. Or
So
you know what I'm saying?
So fifth.
So somewhere fifth or sixth, somewhere around there.
Behind the LA teams, the Nuggets, and
Utah, Dallas.
Utah?
I mean, I can see.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Utah's legit, bro. Utah's
Well, you put Utah up that high?
No. Utah is 6 right now.
Oh yeah, you had Houston above the Warriors.
So, well, they're in 4th place. Like that's how they finished, right? They finished 4th, right? And so I could see either from 4th to 6th, I can see that being Portland or Utah or Dallas, somewhere in there. And I can see the Warriors being in that 4 to 6 range. And that's as currently constructed. I don't see them unless they make a move where they bring in a Bradley Beal, or they were talking about trading the pick, right? Maybe they trade their pick and bring in a big name player. I don't see them right now as really being a contender for the chip. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't.
Right.
I don't see
it.
Well,
yeah, no. Right now, and I don't think there's any way in hell they enter the season looking like they are right now. Although I do think they're a solid team right now. But by the time they enter the season, depending on what the move is, if they just kind of hang tight and pick up a couple guys and then make their draft pick, I still see him though behind. I don't see him behind the Clippers. I'll give him the 3rd seed.
What?
Basically as is the 3rd seed. Yeah. I think you forget. I think you forget, and I think you forgot.
No, I think you forgot this. I think you forgot what the rest of the roster looks like. Think about what the rest of the roster looks like.
I like their roster right now. I like it.
I give them a 5 or 6 spot.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That's where I'm at. I just don't think, looking at this rest of this roster, like this is not that team that had all these former All-Stars coming off the bench. Like we talking Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins and Marquise Chris and Damian.
I want to know why y'all don't feel Draymond is the same Draymond.
Because he hasn't been. Look at his numbers.
But he hasn't been playing with this guy. Like the floor hasn't been spread out for him to do what he does.
I'm talking about prior to Kevin Durant leaving. He hasn't been his normal, and he's only getting older, right? You know what I'm saying? His game wasn't predicated on, explosiveness or anything like that. So just I've seen his game and his numbers decline, which makes, he's getting older, they played a ton of minutes, you know what I mean? So Draymond Green is not going to get better, you know what I mean?
How many seasons he been in?
I don't know, we can look that up.
I personally think he's fine. I mean, I don't think he'll be an all-star again just because part of the reason he was an all-star because he was on this team that was winning and had just won a chip. But
yeah,
I don't think – I just think the main problem, the only thing I've really seen in his game and heard about his game is that his jump shot was struggling, which is fine. Like, I think he's going to come –
You think they will move him?
I think they will. I think they would if they had.
I think
he can be in a deal. That's why I said I want to see what they do because
you move him for Giannis. Smart. If you get Giannis or Sabonis,
you move anybody for Giannis. You move Steph Curry for Giannis.
You stop it right now. But but Draymond, I think Draymond's gonna be fine. I think he's gonna be fine. I just think he needs his squad. You know what I mean? Like he's not. He can put up numbers, but he has to do it in the flow of that offense. He's not the guy that's going to go out and, now, right. But the one reason I like him so much, though, is Pascal is kind of that guy. Like he's going out, putting the ball on the floor. He's big, strong, but he's really kind of like a wing.
And I would trade Draymond and give Eric Pascal those minutes because he's turning into a younger, better version of Draymond Green. That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm looking at it the Bill Belichick way. We're like, okay, he's not getting any younger. He's not going to get better.
Trade him
too early before it's later.
I'm thinking you put him at you put Pascal at the 3. I mean, see, I'm a little higher on Wiggins than obviously someone else in this conversation.
Than everybody in the entire NBA.
Stop it. That's
why he's on his 4th team in 3 years or whatever it is.
But if you have Pascal at the 3, and then because he's really not a 4, and then you have Draymond at the 4, and Pascal, that's kind of like a nice. And then Clay, that's a really nice defensive team to cover up the fact that Stephen Curry can't guard me, and like that's pretty nasty to me. I would do that and have Wiggins come off the bench. The very solid, very high scoring player. Wiggins.
But right now, you need to start Andrew Wiggins with your current roster. He needs to. Looking at the rest of the talent on the roster, he has to start. Who's look. That's what I'm saying. They have to.
You can't play Clay at the 2. You can put Clay at the 2.
You would have you would have Steph, Clay, Draymond, Pascal,
and then you need a 5.
And
Who
Wiggins.
is Looney.
But I wouldn't if I had. I wouldn't start Looney depending on the matchup. You know, if we're just saying regular season, I would start Wiggins over. Yeah, I mean,
small ball it and go.
Draymond's played the 5 plenty of times before. So talent wise, Wiggins is your starter. You know, and that roster
with Pascal at the 4.
No. So Steph, Clay, Pascal. So Steph, Clay, Draymond, Pascal, and Wiggins.
That's a very nice defensive team, I'll say that. But struggle with some good athletic big men. But
yeah. So that's why they got some moves to make because they have some they got some holes that they have to fill. I think
they need some sort of bench.
So where do y'all think Giannis ends up though? As far as free agency,
I think Giannis ends up in Milwaukee. I think he stays there.
You think he signs the max?
Where you think he going?
He wants to win, man. He wants to. I think it'd be smart for him to stay in the East. So I guess Miami, where everybody says.
Well, I could see him going to Miami, because I think he also, in order for him to win, he needs to get better. That's the thing. Wherever he goes,
I think
if he's the guy,
like the same way Jimmy looks good in Miami, I think Giannis would look significantly better in Miami, just because of that locker room, that mentality they got there. And knowing how he plays, his mindset, his mentality, I feel like he fit in.
If he goes to Miami or the Warriors, he doesn't have to get better because he doesn't have to take the big shots. You know what I'm saying?
If he go right, that's what I was about to say. I said wherever he goes, if he's the guy, it doesn't matter. It's on him. He has to get better. I think the only way that I see him winning as the player that he currently is if he goes to a team where he's not the guy. If he's joining LeBron or Steph or Jimmy Butler or somebody like that, then okay, he can go somewhere and win next year. But unless he's going to a situation like that, I don't see him winning because he got a lot of holes that he need to fill. That he has to get better.
That's why I don't think he's staying in Milwaukee, because who's going to go to Milwaukee to be that guy?
So, yeah, I don't. You're right. They would have to make a trade. I mean, they would have to make a trade and
like what they gonna
really make
Chris Paul to Milwaukee.
They were talking about Chris Paul getting traded to Milwaukee because from everything that I've been hearing,
for Middleton or will Middleton stay?
Oh, they wouldn't do that for Middleton. It would be for somebody, I don't know how, draft picks or something like that. Plus, Chris Paul has a terrible contract, so in reality, it would be the gift of you taking on his contract, right? Yeah. So I've been hearing that Chris Paul could get traded to the Knicks or to Milwaukee. There was another team that we've been hearing about that him possibly getting traded to. So but Milwaukee is a real possibility.
And that makes them better for sure. And obviously his pedigree would up that team for sure, but it still doesn't put him over the top because assuming everyone's healthy, Miami's not going anywhere. I love Boston, but then you've got I'm sorry, if that squad is going up against a team with Kyrie and KD that is also a good team in the Nets, no one's taking out KD. I don't think
Kyrie's health is sus.
Huh?
To me.
Yeah, it does.
Kyrie's knees.
It's super sus.
Everything. Kyrie's like made of glass at this point almost.
And so is KD. If we being honest,
it depends on health for sure.
Yeah.
But if that team is healthy, good luck, because KD again. So we and I forget sometimes too how good he was. Dude, he was offensively. No one stopped.
You know what I want to pay attention to in free agent, because there's not a lot of big free agents this year. So November 18th, when free agency starts, there's not going to be this. It feels like the last couple of off seasons, it's just been these blockbuster, at least one blockbuster move. There won't be that. Like Anthony Davis is the biggest free agent, and he's not going anywhere. So what I think we're going to have to pay attention to is with Kyrie coming back healthy, they're going to move Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie is underrated.
Oh, absolutely.
So where he goes is going to be dope. I would love for him to come to LA.
You're hearing they're going to move him?
Yeah. And so I would love for him to come to LA. Because he's a starting guard, and with Kyrie coming back healthy, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna make sense. They're the same position. So I see them moving Spencer for another piece that can fit. So that'll be a smart move for them.
We'll trade him an excellent scoring, underrated shooting guard named Andrew Wiggins straight up.
No, they don't want that. They don't
straight
want
up.
That.
Straight up.
They'll take a box of Gatorade before they do that.
Straight up.
So also Drew Holiday, right? Where he goes is going to be important because that could be key. And that could be key for the Clippers. I think if I'm the Clippers, I'm looking less at Rondo and more at trying to get Drew Holiday or Spencer Dinwiddie. If the Clippers can get, that'll.
I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of buzz about the Warriors wanting Holiday. Any team that wants to get over the hump needs to want Drew Holiday. That guy might be the most underrated basketball player there is.
Yeah.
He's unreal. And especially because I don't think he gives a fuck if he starts or not either. I mean, maybe he does, but if you take him as your sixth man,
on a winning roster, I think he would be like, let's go. Like, if he came to the Lakers or Clippers, I feel like he'd be like, yeah, I'll be Rondo. If Rondo leaves, he'll could definitely come in and be a better version of Rondo. And then Victor Oladipo, it's going to be key if they end up moving him or he goes somewhere. That'll be because Victor Oladipo is off the radar because he plays in Indiana, and we don't realize that like he's a better Paul George, like, you know what I mean, that type of role.
It's funny because I don't hear anybody talking about this guy, but I don't even think he's the best player on his own team because I think Sabonis is the best player on that Pacers squad, who no one even seems to know was just an all-star. Sabonis,
he is an all-star. He's not better than Victor. Like, Victor is severely underrated because he's one, been injured, and two, he plays he didn't even play that team.
He just came off that ACL.
He came back in the bubble. He wasn't even going to play in the bubble because of him coming off that injury, and they were kind of just like, what's the point? But if Victor on a winning team, on a solid team, can be that LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Miami vibe. Like, I don't think people realize that. Like, he just has been in the middle of nowhere. Like,
he's excellent. He's excellent.
Legit.
But I do think, unfortunately, and I think a lot of teams, they're scared. They're scared of the injury.
Yeah. He's also like made of glass, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So that'll be iffy. The other thing that I think we skipped over before we go to rapid fire and get out of here. The NBA in doing this new kind of construct of how they're going to do this season. They're going to a MLB style format where there is no bubble. So in order to avoid, dealing with the COVID stuff and having to sit people out, they're going to a MLB style where they're going to play series like every week, right? So like if the Lakers are playing the Hawks, they go to Atlanta and they play Monday, and then they play Wednesday, and then they play Friday, and they play their season series.
Oh, that's what they're doing?
Yeah, because there's not a bubble. They want to lessen travel and lessen exposure for possible positive COVID tests. Do you think that's going to work, or how do you feel about them adopting the Major League Baseball route of like playing series throughout the season?
Man, it's new. This is my first hearing of that. I mean, that's interesting. But I mean, if anybody can pull it off, it's the NBA.
Yeah.
The way I see it. NBA is like super progressive when it comes to this, they the ones who are doing the groundbreaking stuff. So
right.
I think even though MLB did it first, I think if NBA do it, they do it better.
Right.
Because MLB had hella cases come up with COVID and players acting out and coming back infecting the whole locker room. But I think that'll be a good move.
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea. It lessens travel. It makes the it's less harsh on the players, less exposure. And you get those. You probably can get more rapid games where you can get. You might even maybe do a back-to-back when you do Monday, Tuesday, and then maybe
they're playing the series so the Lakers are playing Atlanta, and then they're done playing Atlanta for the rest of the year.
Right. So that way there's not a constant travel because they're not doing a bubble. They're trying to just lessen exposure and travel as much as they can. So because they know that it's not going to be like the bubble. They had no cases, right? They know it's not going to be like that because they can't keep them confined. And you see the NFL with people having to sit out. You see that obviously, like we just said, baseball has had a lot of issues. So they're trying to prep for that, and the MLB series style play is something that they're going to do.
They're smart. They're very smart guys, but they'll say that it's for COVID, but you know why they're going to do that? Because they just lost so much freaking money. Every sport's losing money.
Yeah.
It'll save a lot of money. When you can just go to a city
and just stay there,
play 2 or 3 games instead of going boom, boom, boom. They got to catch up.
Yeah.
But it's smart. It's smart, and the NBA does everything best. So
yup.
So that'll be dope. Okay, let's get out of here on this. Speaking of the COVID situation, they've been having a lot of players go on the COVID reserve list. And if you know anything, if you play fantasy, because you'll randomly have a player just not be active because he caught COVID. Ben Roethlisberger was the latest add to the COVID reserve list. He got put on there today. And so it also depends, like fantasy wise, like it doesn't necessarily, if you have a player that goes on the COVID reserve list, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to play. It depends on when they get put on that list. So it's a 5-day quarantine thing. They get tested every day for 5 days. In order for them to be cleared from the list, they have to be negative all 5 days. And then on the 6th day or on game day or whatever, they have to obviously be negative. So Ben Roethlisberger is on that list. So that can affect people's lineups and stuff like that. So just pay attention to that. And then another COVID thing on the COVID front, LSU versus Bama and Texas A&M versus Tennessee was postponed and canceled due to COVID. So we see it everywhere where college football is dealing with it. And I think the NBA with the series thing is trying to avoid doing that stuff. They also said that they're going to play 72 games. But most people think they're not going to, each team is not going to play 72 games because they're trying to build in the COVID postponements and cancellations and stuff like that. So I guess the idea that, is to hopefully get to somewhere close to 70 games or 60, actually played, like 60-something games actually played, because they know guys are going to miss. You're going to see a lot more guys being out and missing games, similar to baseball and football with the COVID thing. So that'll be interesting to see. Okay, Vernon Strayhorn, thank you so much for joining the show today, bro.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the people where they can follow and support anything that you got going on and coming up soon?
Everything that you can follow me on is my first and last name, Vernon Strayhorn. Vernon, last name Strayhorn. That's a lot, but Vernon Strayhorn.
Yeah,
everything.
Dope. Okay, I'm at Joe Connor 33 everywhere. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube page, and make sure that you put on notifications so you know when we are dropping the video. Also, for any ladies that are watching, my fiance has started a store. It's called Zar Galore. Go there, check out. She's selling wigs, she's selling hats, she's selling jewelry. You can get it for great prices. Go check it out. It's zarzargalore.com for any ladies or dudes who want to buy the girl a wig for Christmas. So that's that.
Yes, at JT Harker for everything, music stuff. Got new music coming up. I think we haven't picked a date yet, but in December we're dropping the next single, so I'm pumped about that.
Dope.
And let's see, they're getting the show tomorrow. So Thursday at Paseo Hotel, I'm playing an acoustic show opening for Sam Grow, who plays with our boy Alex Seller, and our other boy Joe Davini will be playing with me, and our girl Alexandria Corn will be there as well. It's gonna be dope.
That's gonna be dope. I'm gonna try to get up there for that too. So
it should be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be dope.
I got
okay. Oh, really? Oh, dope. Here we go. All right. This has been another episode of Backstage First Podcast. Until next time, be safe and be great. Peace.